Been diving into my cheap 2013 insurance fraud salvage titled Chrysler 300C. Uh, Had a really bad rattle in the top end. I was pretty sure it was a top end. In the last video, I did just a quick oil change on it so I could inspect the oil and just see what was going on and see if the oil change would make a difference, which I didn't expect it would, and it didn't. But there was no metal shavings in the oil. And so I was pretty sure it was the classic failed lifters, torn up camshaft. And let me show you what I found so far. I've got the top end of the engine pretty much apart. Still got to pull the heads. So far, this is extremely easy to work on compared to a lot of stuff I've worked on. We'll see how it goes from here, but the front bumper's got to come off. Some things have to come off to get the radiator out and have room to get the camshaft in and out. But you can see that the engine it's extremely clean. There's not a bit of sludge anywhere. Like, just super, super clean. In hindsight, if I was to do this again, I would have already pulled the front stuff apart. So it'd be easy to get like to the alternator, and so I can get the rest of these wires out of the way, because they've been kind of a pain in the ass, but not a big deal. But anyways, I found this guy. Nice bent push rod. Was right in the second from the end exhaust or intake valve here. And so that explains a lot of the noise. My guess is I will find that at least this lifter, probably a lot more, is probably completely gone. And the camshaft is going to be completely gone as well. I'm still really undecided on what I want to do with the car. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to just put in all new lifters. I'm going to keep the MDS system, the multi-displacement, put in a new cam, all the gaskets, and I might just do that. I might not even do, which is going to seem silly, but I might not do the timing gears and oil pump. I haven't decided. Supposedly you can pull the oil pump without pulling the pan, and if that's the case, then I might do it. I mean, it's not very expensive, but we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a lot easier if I don't do that, because you can literally, I've been watching a lot of videos on this, and you can actually take the cam sprocket off and set it aside and get the cam out and basically put it back on, and not, if you have all your marks already set up correctly and you don't let everything fall apart, it seems really, really easy to do it that way. So I might just go that route, but, especially with how clean the engine is, obviously they've been doing oil changes like they're supposed to. I didn't think they had been, but there's no way this engine's that clean unless they've been doing that. And so I don't know. We'll see what the condition of the timing is when I get down in there, but I don't know that I need to do it. Save, I don't know, probably $250 if I don't do that. But it feels stupid to not do it while I'm there. So I'm debating with that. The other thing I've been debating about pretty heavily is that if I'm this far, why don't I just, add some power to it? You can get upgraded camshafts that keep the MDS, and you don't have to replace the springs. Or I can get even more power if I want to replace all the valve springs and put in a bigger cam and eliminate the MDS system. I can also, while I'm here, I could put shorty headers on it. But I don't know, there's a lot of things I'm really struggling with on what I want to do. It's not even money. A lot of this stuff, it's cheaper to go with the MDS delete than it is to put all the Mopar stuff in here that I'm going to put back. Not in every case, but sometimes it is cheaper. The non-MDS lifters, I believe, are quite a bit cheaper. The thing is, it's really expensive about this is that the lifters, in my case, is if I go the route where I'm doing all just Mopar stuff, the lifters are insanely expensive. It's $172 per pack, and a pack or a rack or whatever you want to call it has 4 lifters, and there's 4 of those in this car, and so you're at close to $700 just in lifters, which is ridiculous. But anyways, I'm gonna pull the rest of this part and then we'll see how it's going. It's completely torn down. I decided not to do the water pump or the oil pump and timing kit. Guess it's like a really low failure on those. It's gonna make my job a little bit easier too. I don't have to do a lot of the timing. Just I haven't moved the bottom gear. It's at top dead cylinder, top dead center, and there's a mark on the cam gear. I don't know if I can show it to you or not, but it's supposed to point straight up. And so there's a pin on the end of the camshaft, so it's it's pretty easy. Everything looks okay, except for here, this camshaft, this rear lobe is no longer a lobe, completely gone. Some other lobes showing somewhere. Nothing too severe. It was basically just down at this end. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Interesting thing too is that's a non-MDS lobe, and I can show you that because what happened to this is the lifter is what I suspect went first. So the lifter failed. And then that took out the cam. Every other lifter feels perfect. Like, I probably don't need to replace them all. But I am. So like I said before, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for replacement parts. If I want to go aftermarket, do I want to get more horsepower? I decided not to. A brand new Mopar camshaft, every lifter and the yokes, brand new. I'm staying MDS. I got some new push rods. I only need 1, but I think I got 4 anyways. You got Velcro gasket set. Let's see what's over here. I got the timing cover gasket set. Head bolts, Velcro head bolts, and these are the push rods. I'm only going to replace the one that's bad. But yeah, I'm getting ready to start putting this back together. I've got, let's see, garage is such a mess everywhere you look. I broke a stud on each exhaust manifold. So that one's broken, and this one's broken. And so I'm about to use some MAP gas on those and hopefully get them out. I bought a new set. Hopefully they're right. I know that the thread pitch is right, at least on the nut side. I don't have these out yet, so I don't know for sure what's in there. They say they fit most Fords. This clearly is not a Ford, but we'll try them. So that's where I'm at, and I'll try to keep you updated as I go. Making some good progress here. Starting to get stuff back together. I got the new camshaft in. Timing is all back on. Got both heads on and bolted down. Got this side of all the valve train done. One thing to know, you'll see I'm not doing the detailed build on this or repair because there's a million of them on YouTube. You don't need to see me repeat what everybody else has already repeated, but I'll repeat it anyways just because it's critical. It's really important to make sure that your push rods are seated into the lifter correctly and into the rocker correctly. Once I get the other side all bolted up, I'll spin the engine several times and just make sure that everything's moving correctly and looks really good. Let's see. I don't think there's nothing really that critical to tell you. One thing is I made a mistake and I ordered head bolts, and I didn't realize that it's per side. And so I only had one side of new head bolts. And so this side I reused head bolts. I know there's a lot of people that will cringe at that, but they're supposed to be reusable. And if they're not, if the threads aren't stretched or anything, then they're okay. And they seem to be totally fine because you go 25 foot-pounds on all of them, then 40 foot-pounds, and then you turn them 90 degrees. And from everything I found online, when you go 90 degrees, they should be at right about 95, and every one of them hit 95. So I'm not too worried about that. I think they'll be fine. I would have liked to have had the new ones, but it's not a big deal. The other thing is that the timing, it wasn't hard, but the chain did fall off the bottom gear, so it wasn't like everything was perfect, which isn't a big deal at all because I kept it right at top dead center the whole time. And it's still at top dead center. I don't think you can see my mark in the camera. But there's a mark on the cam gear, and that's pointing perfectly straight up. I rotated it a couple times, watched the piston, and when I thought the piston was perfectly top dead center, then I would look at my mark and see, is that right? And it was. And then I would do the same thing where I rotated it and watch just the mark and see, is that perfectly aligned? And then look at the piston and see, is that perfectly top dead center? And I'd like kind of move it back and forth a little bit just to make sure that it's really at perfect top dead center. And it was. So I'm pretty confident the timing's correct. Moving right along, I'm hoping to have this running tonight. I kind of doubt that's going to happen. It's about 7 o'clock right now at night. But things are starting to move along. This is the last part that really should take any time, and everything else should just kind of go together quick. But now that I said that, it won't. But let's keep this going. Well, I didn't get it done last night. I gave up at about 11 o'clock. Decided there was no reason to kill myself because, well, there's no rush to get this done. It's just, I rushed myself a little bit. But I think it's done. Literally about to turn it over for the first time. I have the fuel pump relay out of it because I want to crank it for a little while and get some oil moving around. Let's see what to tell you. Yeah, I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens. I'm not sure how you burp the coolant in this, but I filled the reservoir and like literally nothing went in the engine. So I'm hoping that after I crank it over for a little bit to get the oil pressure up, maybe the coolant will drop as well. There's probably a procedure for doing something like this. Like maybe that plug has something to do with it. Maybe you remove that to get some of the air out. I don't know. But let's see what happens. Overall, really easy job. Not a big deal at all. Some of you are going to think I'm a complete moron for doing this. But if you remember, when I first got this car, I changed the oil. New filter, all new oil. It made zero difference because the camshaft was completely gone and the lifter was completely gone. But it was all brand new oil. So what I did, and call me foolish if you want, and maybe I am, we'll find out, but after I got everything back together, I left the oil in it the whole time. I pulled the plug for just a little while, and there was some coolant, obviously, in the oil, but the coolant all settled to the bottom. That coolant came out, then clean oil started coming out, and I put the plug back in. I'm going to start it on that oil. I don't think there's any reason why I can't do that. Like I said, it's a brand new filter, good oil. The coolant sunk to the bottom, and that clearly came out. I can show you right here. Yeah, look at this beautiful tool arrangement. See how you can kind of see the orange coolant? So that's what came out for coolant. And then the oil is all sitting on top. Same thing it did in the oil pan. But I'm only going to start it like that. Get it nice and warmed up. Try to get the coolant to all go through the system, make sure everything's good, and then I will change the oil. I didn't want to do it multiple times. I don't have a lot of excuses for it, but I think it's totally fine to do that. So let's see what it's going to do. Grab the key. Got a battery charger on it in the trunk. So like I said, it shouldn't start because I got the fuel pump relay out of it. But I would like to get the oil pressure up a little bit, which I'm not sure if I can see that. It's so weird having a push button start where it just cranks over for a while on its own. Let's see if there's a menu I can go to. All right, I got to apologize. I thought I was recording and I wasn't recording. I did my first start where I cranked it over for a while without the fuel pump relay in it. And then I started it and it didn't sound very good. It sounded really bad. Every single lifter was making noise like I expected it to because they weren't pumped up yet. And also I do have an exhaust leak that I kind of expected. But then I also found that I had left the throttle body disconnected, connected to the throttle body. And so plug that in and it sounds so much better now. I can't tell what is exhaust noise and what could be engine noise, but sounds pretty good though. This is the connector I had disconnected. Somehow missed that when I put the intake on. That was it though. Everything else was perfect. It's running really good. Oh, it finally took in some coolant too. Yeah, I start dumping in some coolant. Engine work is done. It's running really good. Check engine light even went out after I cleared it, but so far it's out. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back. I'm still going to put new plugs in it. I did change the oil after, like I said, I started it with the other oil in it, but I've changed it already. Took it for about maybe a mile drive. Seems great. Now for the part that I'm kind of dreading maybe more than the engine work, and that is what to do about the seats. You might remember that this car was vandalized, and so somebody cut the cable or the electrical harness to the front seats on both sides and removed the harness, so it's gone, the plug end. So I ordered a complete body harness for this car, and I haven't even opened up the box yet, so hopefully it's right. I got it from MoparPartsGiant.com. Ridiculously cheap. So it's the entire body harness for $288. Might have paid a little bit of shipping. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but that's insanely cheap. They're like $1,600, and it's a Mopar harness. So let's open up this box and see what we have. And I have to decide, do I want to change the whole harness, or do I want to cut the plugs off that I want and solder them back together on the car? Seems like I should do the whole harness, but that might just be more than I want to do. Either way isn't going to be fun. There's a ton of wires that go to those seats, so even soldering them won't be fun. And let's get into that box and see what we got. This is what it looks like in the box. I believe it to be correct. Like I said, it's real Mopar. It's actually got a Mopar label on it right here as well. So, I mean, it would cost somebody way too much money to try and knock this off anyways. But I think I'm going to stretch it out. Really curious if that's a preloaded box with relays and fuses. I highly doubt that. But you never know. So I'm going to lay this out on the ground and stretch it out and just see exactly what we have. And then decide what I want to do. well, this harness is a big harness. There's a lot to it. This is the rear of the car, and unbelievably, this box is loaded. I can't believe you get all those relays and fuses and everything. Like I said, $288 for this whole kit. However, I don't know that I want to do the whole harness. I think that these are the plugs for the seats. So this is on one side, and then here's the other side. So like, really all I need to do is, if the colors match, hopefully they do. If they don't match, it's probably not the right harness. Is cut these off and solder them back together in the car. Because otherwise, this is a pretty big job to replace all of this. I don't know. I'll pull the seats back out of it, and like they're just hand tight in there right now, and then have a look around and just see how big of a job would it be to actually replace all this. It's just that there's some stuff that goes areas I'm not even sure where. I know some of them are actually, like, the speakers are even in this. Not the door. I don't think anything on the doors are in here. I think that those disconnect somewhere. But anywhere where there's a grommet like this tells me that that's going to be probably an area that's not fun to get to. And there's a few of those. There's these ones here. Another one. And then I believe that this is actually the computer plug. So that would go under the hood if that's the case. Or it's for like an interior computer. Usually there's multiple modules throughout the whole car. That's probably not under the hood based on what this looks like, because it can't be. There's a separate under the hood harness, and there's a dash harness, and there's door harnesses. So yeah, like I said, I think this is all I need to do is connect these wires back. But let me get the seats out of it, and I'll have a look and try to decide. You guys are probably going to think I'm an idiot if I cut these wires on this brand new harness and just use those plugs. But let's see. So I think I made the right decision. I'm hoping to replace the whole harness. It's a lot of work for just 2 cut ends, but I have the whole harness. It's a loaded box. How hard can it be? So, get the seats all out of it, which was easy because the fronts were only hand tight because they were out when I got the car. And so far, everything's been pretty easy. Got the whole center console out. I can see that that big cable that I said was for a computer is actually right here. So that's not so bad. I thought that might be like up under the dash or something, and it's not. So that makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more, I don't think, to take apart. The trunk has to come apart a little bit, but some of that's already apart. All the sill plates will have to come out, and I have to pull out, I don't know if you call it a pillar in the middle or what you want to call it, but that has to come apart anyways because I have new seat belts coming for it that I ordered. So it's not going so bad. I think the only thing that was a little bit tricky for me, it took a second to figure out, was a shift knob. There's this little metal piece here, and you actually have to yank that out, and then the knob pops right off. First you have to pop the chrome off, just pop it down, and then pull that out. So that took a minute to figure out. I looked online, I couldn't find anywhere where somebody said exactly how to do it on a 2013, but that's it. So carrying on. I've got the harness almost completely out. Well, I haven't started taking the harness out yet, but I've got it almost completely exposed. And it's really not that bad so far. Still waiting for that gotcha moment, but right now it looks pretty good. But I wanted to show you something that I ask you, please don't do this. And that's this. All that spray foam, somebody put that in there because they probably had a subwoofer in here or something and they want to stop the rattling. But man, they put a lot of spray foam in here. Not just there. Here's the carpet panel that goes up under there, covered in spray foam. Like, you don't need to do that. They make like Dynamat and stuff for a reason. Like, you don't need spray foam. Now, I'm not gonna harp on them too much because, to be honest, way back in the day, 20 years ago or so, I may have done something similar. Not quite like this, but yeah, don't do it. That's ridiculous, and cleaning all that up is gonna be a pain. And that's why, like, this rear panel here doesn't fit quite right. I gotta take all that foam out and make it work. But yeah, I'm getting there with the harness though. I'm not too concerned about it. Everything seems to be going pretty well. And I think I'm gonna be able to replace it fairly easily. So let's see how it goes. Well, I found a problem. This harness is not exactly the same as the one that's in the car. So here you see the fuse box, and there's some wires coming out of it. And these wires go one direction, and then these wires go another way, and there's a grommet right here. Well, right near the grommet, you got these plugs here. Let me show you on the car. So you got the fuse box. These are the wires I was pointing out, said they go a different direction, but they go over there. Well, then you've got these wires come over here with a grommet. But then you got these three plugs that go into this. I don't know what that is, but these wires do not exist on the other harness, these plugs. So the harness is different. So that means I have to figure out what I want to do. Like I said, those three plugs are not here. Well, that's on the inside of the grommet, so that's in the bumper. But this is where I should have those three connectors, and I don't. So I don't know. Hopefully the seats are the same. Hopefully the seat plugs are the same, because then I'll just have to do what I originally said I was going to do, which was just replace those plugs. Really didn't want to. One thing I was looking at, this one seems okay for the most part, but this one, there's a ton of gray and blue stripe plugs in there, or wires in there. So those are probably all the same. It probably doesn't matter where they go. They're probably like all aground or something. But yeah, it kind of sucks to have to cut up the harness after, you know, I completely stripped the car out, which really wasn't a big deal to do. But it just sucks at this point to have to decide to do what I was originally going to do, but don't want to do, because I want to do the right thing. And here's the plug, or the wire and harness that goes to that seat. There's one on the other side, same thing. And that's literally all that's wrong with this harness. It's not like the harness is bad other than that. But here's the other one. And that is quite a few wires to have to take care of and solder. But now I'm also concerned, like, are the wire colors going to be the same? Because if that harness isn't exactly the same, then maybe it's not going to be the same. I don't know. Get some things to figure out. Well, decision was made. I ordered the correct harness for the car. This was my mistake. I picked this harness without having the car with me at the time. And so I just kind of picked one that looked like it had all the right options and figured that must be the one, and it's not. I didn't like the idea of cutting the seats wires to solder them back together, but I was prepared to do that, except every color is different. So that wasn't going to work. And so I put the interior back in the car, but I mean, it's literally just in the car. Just because it's going to be a few days, and it's probably going to rain before I get it. So yeah, the right harness is on order. It was $1,100. This one for $300 isn't going to work, and I can't return it because it's not their fault. Like, they sent me the harness that I ordered, and there's nothing wrong with it. And so I'll probably list it for sale on eBay or something. I don't know. But yeah, I got to wait a few days, wait for the correct harness to show up, and then replace it. I don't think it's going to be a big job now that, I've already got the interior apart. And the interior was super simple to take apart. And I've also got, the other thing that's why it's not a big deal to wait a few days is that I got both seat belts also on order. And so those will be here probably about the same time as the harness. And so that will be it. The car will be completely done. So let's pick it up there. Well, the correct harness has arrived. All $1,100+ of it. But I'll feel a lot better knowing that I did it right and didn't, cut wires or hack it up or anything like that. But so these are like the 3 plugs right here that were the real clue that I had the wrong harness. Like I said, I ordered it when I wasn't with the car, so I didn't have the ability to get the number off it. So just my stupid $300 mistake by getting the wrong one. If anybody needs a harness, I'll put the part number in the description of this video and we can work something out. Got the new seat belt, new used seat belt for the driver's side. Still waiting on the passenger side. For some reason, they printed the label a week ago and it hasn't shipped yet. And you can see, I am ready to rock and roll here. I've got just about the entire interior apart. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up front and get everything disconnected and work my way back. And then I might have to pull the rear bumper. I'm almost positive I have to pull the rear bumper. And then there's also a wire that goes under the car. I guess you can't see it from here. But there's some sort of round plug that goes under the car as well. And it's not the fuel pump though, because the fuel pump is right here. So that's nice and easy to get to. But there's something else under there. My hope is that I can get everything put back together, except for maybe that wire that goes under the car and maybe the bumper, and then bring it to my garage to do the bumper and whatever's under the car. The bumper's not a big deal. I can pop that off out here pretty easy, but whatever it is under the car probably has something to do with like the purge system or emissions or whatever. I don't know, but if it will still run fine without that, to just, go a few hundred yards. I didn't want to do this job in the garage because it's just tight quarters. I like to have the doors all wide open. And but the bad thing is it's 90 degrees out today, so it is hot. But I am going to go ahead and start pulling this out. I'll let you know if I find anything super interesting. I know I haven't been doing any actual recording while I'm working in this long video, but I don't think it's gonna be that interesting watching me pull out this harness. But I thought you might be interested in seeing, you know, what this looks like and what it entails to do something like this. Check back in a second. So far, this part sucked a little bit more than I wanted it to. In hindsight, it would have been easy. You have to take down the e-brake in order to get to, there's plugs that go to the door. So like they connect right on the other side of this. And they go through like a rubber grommet right here. You can see this hole. They go through there. But the only way to get to them is to pull this pedal. And I was struggling really bad with this stupid little wire before I got the pedal off. And after I got the pedal off, it was like nothing. Because I had my hand like reached way up in here underneath trying to get that one wire. And it was a struggle. But anyways, this corner of the car now is already done. That probably took 10, 15 minutes. Some of that was because I had to go get tools. So not that bad, but yeah, a little bit more than I really wanted to do, but it's not that bad. So now I'm going to move on to the other side, and then I'll attack the center, which I don't want to jinx myself, but I think the center is going to be easy. Just that big plug there, and who knows where else it goes, but let's attack this other side. Now that I know how the doors are connected, I didn't know that there's literally connections right there. That should help me a little bit, so let's get going on that. Passenger side is done up front. It's really pretty self-explanatory. You can see where all the wires plug into, I'm assuming, the body control module, or one of the body control modules, and that's bolted on the side. And then you have to remove that because behind that is where the two big plugs are for the door. And one other thing that's kind of tricky a little bit, it's not too bad, is there's a big wire that wraps up around the air box here, and then up top is a big plug. But it's not hard to get out. It's just when you see the wire going up over the box, it gets kind of scary, like, oh, please don't tell me I have to remove the air box, but you don't. On to the middle. All right, the middle was super easy. Took probably 2 minutes. Not much to it, really. You know, just unplug the stuff in the way. Moving on. All right, well, the harness is just about completely out. There's a couple plugs where it goes into the body that you'd take care of, like this one here for the rear bumper, or somewhere in the rear bumper. Same thing here. So I gotta take care of these. So that's probably gonna be removing the bumper. And then there's these ones by the wheel. That one goes in there. And there's another one on this side. Can't see it from here. That one there. This one I think is probably just the speed sensor, the anti-lock brakes. That's my guess. But yeah, you can see it's pretty terrifying. The side curtain airbags were a pain because I had to take down the headliner to get to the wire because it's plugged in pretty far up, almost in the middle, and it comes up like this back pillar, comes all the way over and up there. Same thing on this side. So the headliner is just hanging. I could pretty much take it out. It's just attached in the front. That's the new harness. We're supposed to be getting some rain, so I just tossed it in here real quick, and the seatbelt over there. So it's, like I said, it's essentially out. Just a couple things I need to get to on the outside of the car, and then that's it. You know, some stuff's kind of a pain, like the speakers have to actually come out to disconnect them. And then on this one here, there's actually, you can see sort of a little cutout there. I think that's where the wire went. But there's a series of wires that come out of there, come through the hole down here, channel up along here and then go all over inside here. And so that had to come out. Yeah, it's just tedious. It's not hard, I wouldn't say. It's just there's a lot, you know. Like you could see by the harness, it's a big freaking harness, and it takes a lot of work to take it all apart. And we've been getting some thunder and a little sprinkle here and there, so that's the interior. It's all covered up. The bottom might get a little bit damp depending on how hard it rains. I don't know, we'll see. But it's about 7 o'clock. It's starting to get kind of dark. Like I said, I gotta do stuff on the outside of the car at this point, and so calling it a day. Let's pick this back up tomorrow. And just like that, the harness is out. This is the next day. Cut a couple corners that just they're temporary, but in the back here, everywhere where it went through the car, I just cut the wire. It's the old harness. The harness is junk. There's no point in trying to save it. The idea behind that is that when I put in the new harness, I will just put everything where it's going to go through, like this grommet here and over here, and the ones that go in the back bumper. And hopefully at that point I can put everything from the rear seat forward together and have the car actually run again, theoretically, if none of those wires were important, and then drive it to my garage, which, you know, only a few 100 feet away or a few 100 yards away, and then do those other wires, because I think that they might be speed sensors, definitely bumper sensors, and I don't really know what else, but it'd be a lot easier to do that part in the garage. Doing this part outside is far easier. You know, there's so much more room and it's light. And so I'm getting ready to throw the new one in. I'm not gonna record any of that because I kind of showed you what it was to take it out. And but I'll show you when the new one is at least installed before I start putting the interior in. The new harness is essentially all in. Just gonna reassemble the car. Basically the same thing as taking it out, but like I still have the parts that go through the little grommets to the outside. Like I said, I'm going to try to put the car back together, except for the trunk, basically, and go from there. Yeah, it's going good. Like it's time consuming, for sure. Nothing about it overly like hard or challenging. Just takes a lot of work, a lot of time. So like this is one of the harnesses that has to go through right here. There's another one over there. It's a lot smaller. This one here. Like, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna try to get the front put back together, see if it starts. I don't know for sure if it will, and go from there. But yep, it's moving along. So it occurred to me that I finished up this video, or was about to finish up this video, without giving you sort of a total of what is invested into this car, not including labor. So I bought the car for $3,000, and then I did all the engine work. That was about $1,500. That's counting fluids, everything. It was almost $1,000 for just, actually I think it was right at about $1,000 for just the camshaft and lifters, not including the gasket set and a couple of the things that I had put in there. The lifters are ridiculously expensive on a MDS Hemi, like $700. So now we're at $4,500. Then I spent about $1,500 on the wiring harness. The first one I got was like $288. I think I paid some shipping on it. That was the wrong harness, my fault. Big mistake there. I'll never make that mistake again. Don't think I can return it, and I'm not even going to try because it wasn't their fault. And they're just like a reseller. Like they have access to warehouses and they get it. But if it's not wrong or defective or something, I mean, if it's not defective, it's not their problem. So I'll either try to sell that on my own or just keep it around for, I don't know, whatever. So then I had to buy the right wiring harness, which was $1,100 and change. So we're at about $1,500 there too. And then, so we're up to $6,000 now. Then I had to buy the seat belts. Those were about $120 each, shipped. And so that's $240. So let's just call that $250. So we're at $6,250 is what I have into the whole car. Without a rebuilt title, this car is probably worth right around 13 grand. With the rebuilt title, I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm not sure I'm going to sell it anyways. I might just keep it. But so let's say $6,250 for the car. I think that's a pretty damn good deal. Like, I did a ton of work though. Like, the wiring harness was a lot. The engine was kind of a lot, but I don't know which job was worse, to be honest. They were both pretty intensive. But yeah, that's it. So next I'm just going to go around the car a little bit. Video I shot earlier, but I wanted to make sure that I just let you know what it costs to do this and what kind of car I ended up with for $6,250, which is an amazing car for that kind of money. It's all done. Runs, drives, seatbelts are in, seats are bolted down. I still need 4 bolts, so there's actually only 2 bolts in each seat, but it's holding it together for now. But yeah, it didn't go too bad. Still got a pile of tools in the floor in the back here, but yeah, everything's put back together. I am missing, there's supposed to be a retractable sunscreen in the back, and so it's a panel that goes all the way in the back there. That's missing. I don't have it. I stuffed a black sweatshirt down in there for now. For one, it looks a little bit better than just the gap, but the other main reason is that the carpet piece will rattle around without it there. The only other thing I didn't put back together is the trunk. That piece, it just goes up. I haven't done that. I might even just buy a new one of those. I don't know yet, but yeah, that's not together. But that's about it. Car's running and driving good. It's very happy that the airbag light went out after putting in the seat belts. And I think that's going to do it for this video. I'm actually off to, I think, Advanced Auto Parts right now to get new axles. I can't see it in the video, I don't believe, but both inner boots are ripped on both front axles. Got really nervous. I saw something kind of black dripping out of the front end and started thinking, oh no, please don't tell me the head gasket job didn't work out and it's leaking or something, but that's not the case. It's just the axle was leaking grease. I also might buy all new brakes. These brakes are pretty horrible. They have plenty of pad, but the car sat for over a year, and so it shakes pretty good because of the brakes. But we'll see. I still don't know what I'm doing with the car yet, if I'm going to keep it or get rid of it, but I'm leaning on keeping it. So that's going to do it for this video, for this repair job. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.